Item number 8 is a request to approve legislation changing the manner in which the appointments to the Board of Directors of the Houston County Health Care Authority are made. If you all recall, and I'm sure you do, last meeting, we adopted a resolution that said that we asked our legislative delegation along with council to draft legislation for us to consider changing the manner in which the board members were appointed. That has been done. You have a draft in front of you. I think if this actually moves forward, there would be some changes to this, but and we could, if this were to go on the Monday's agenda, we would, put that in a motion that we can change that necessary. But I think I know since then there have been some meetings and discussion with the medical center. I don't know that any resolution has been met yet, but I would hope whatever we do, we soon put this issue to bed and talk about something else. And so I would ask for any comments on this. If you choose to comment, or either I would just simply ask if it would be your intent to move this forward to Monday's commission meeting. Any comments from the commission?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have one.
All right, go right ahead.
Commissioners. As to the Southeast Health Board, I believe every organization, whether boards or companies hiring employees, have the right to build their own team. They know better than anyone on the outside what it takes to make their team work and be the best it can be for the people and community they serve. Just as companies have interviews to select their employees, so too should boards be able to choose. They give their thoughtful consideration of those who are put on their list of 3, which I am sure is not taken lightly. I think it should be considered, ultimately should be the decision of the organization who's doing the work. Any person on a board or in a company is not fulfilling their responsibility, and that is another scenario which would be handled by the entity involved. But to replace one person for another without just cause is not what America is. 95% of us are not even familiar with what board members do, no matter what kind of board it may be. So to ask them to vote on this is logical. Finally, I feel that one county's discourse should not have the possible effect on other counties who have no issues or are satisfied with their own procedures. In conclusion, I think we should all focus on the good things that have come from the work of these board members have accomplished, such as their involvement in getting ACOM, among other things, to our area. We have seen two wonderful healthcare facilities in our county do a wonderful job in expediting the vaccines last March. Doctors, nurses, boards, all who had a part in this, the staff, have made it happen. So I bring this to the commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for those comments. Any other comments? Yes, sir. Would you like to make a brief comment?
Must be brief, right?
Hold on, wait a minute. I got another comment from the commission.
My fellow commissioners, y'all know what I have dealt with this whole time. I sent an email out to let you guys know what had happened. I know that it's a difficult decision to make, and it's something I don't take lightly either. And I gather the facts and the things that are going on, and it is, to me, it has been unfair to the process. I know each one of you have made your appointments. I have not made an appointment. And I want to take you back to Southeast Health's bylaws and what their bylaws say. Give me just a second. Let me get to it. This is section 5, page 3, subsection B. After each nominating committee member has conferred with the county commissioner from their respective district to discuss possible names for appointment. The nominating committee shall present 3 nominations per vacancy for board approval. Such nominations representing their respective district in the county. I had a phone call made to me at the end of July, 1st of August. And that phone call was, do you want to reappoint Lance Shepherd? And at the time, I made the comment and said, well, that's all I got right now. I'm thinking, hey, the process is moving forward. I can start looking and seeing. The next thing I know, it's brought to our attention on the agenda that these 3 names are the ones that's been chosen. The other 2 names that was on there beside Lance Shepherd was never discussed with me. Never discussed with me. And whenever it came to me, it was by surprise to see that. However, before that happened, on the beginning of September, I made a comment and called one of the board members that was on the nominating committee, Taylor Knight, and I made a comment to him and I said, Taylor, I have somebody I'd like to add to the list before it's done. I'd like to put somebody on the list to be considered. And at that point, I was told that, nope, we've made our decision and that's it. Well, it did not come before us until after the fact, I think a day or 2 after the fact, that was on the agenda, or it's going to be on the agenda. So, B of itself says, after each nominating committee member has conferred with the county commissioner. I had 1 that conferred with me, not the whole nominating committee, as it says in their own bylaws. Neither was I discussed the possible names for appointment before that happened. And then I will take you down to C, where it says, upon board approval, the list of 3 nominees shall be submitted to the county commission not more than 90 nor less than 10 days prior to expiration of the board member's term of office. They set those names within that time, but I also gave them a name that I thought would do a good job on that board as well, and it still was not considered. I made a phone call and talked with Chester Saul, which is the chairman of the Houston County Healthcare Authority, and explained to him my situation and what I wanted to do to add that name. Chairman Saul told me in that phone conversation that it is my appointment, and he understands. He disagrees with what I'm wanting to do, but it's my appointment. So I've also met with the attorneys with Southeast Health, 2 attorneys and the board member, Taylor Knight. They called a meeting with me, and I went to the hospital and met with them. We discussed this, and we talked about it, and they said, well, we've already made our decision. That's the way we work. We can't go back and rescind it, amend it, or do anything. Well, I also take you back to another page. It tells you that they run by Robert's Rules of Order, which is, I believe, the same thing that we run by. Is that correct?
Close.
Most Robert's Rules of Order.
We base ours on.
We base ours on that, which most governmental entities do. And board of directors. They could have taken that back, rescinded it, amended it, and then something added the name to the list that I was wanting to appoint or consider to appoint. I also take you to an email back on September 14th that I sent Lance Shepherd, which is the appointment now, that is the appointee that they're wanting me to appoint. I sent an email to him very nice and explained to him that, hey, you're a good businessman, you're a good man, but right now I want to move forward and appoint somebody else to this board, so I'm not going to reappoint you. So he knows that I don't plan on reappointing him. I also, after that list was brought to me, and I was told that after September 28th, after that meeting, and that list was brought, I also called Brownie and Mark Kenny, whose names is on that list. And I talked with them, and I asked them, hey, I want to know, did you get a phone call? Are you willing to serve? And Mark Kenny said, yes. Chester Sowell called me, and we talked, and he said, yes, I'd be willing to serve. But I just want to see what he said. I explained my situation to Mr. Kenny and told him what I was trying to do. He says, I completely understand what you're trying to do. I talked to Mr. Browning and explained the situation to Mr. Browning. And I told Mr. Browning the situation. He said, well, when I got a phone call from Taylor Knight, he told me most likely that this is just a procedure, this is how we do things, and you won't be picked, you'll probably reappoint the one that's there. So to me, it's a process that should work better than what it is, but it's a process to where they talk about the commission having appointments, and the commission being you could possibly have a rogue commissioner, okay? And then the process was changed. It started in 1957, went all the way to 1991 until that changed. So over 30 years, that process worked. The hospital's still there. The hospital hasn't gone anywhere. it was changed in 91 and amended, that we shall appoint 3 members that the board approves of. So that would be the exact same thing of the commission, there being an election for Ricky Herring, and then John Smith, the commission say, no, John Smith's gonna be on there, you're not. So I tell you this, that the process was not followed through all the way. I did not have a fair chance. I did not have a fair opportunity. I don't want it to come to this, but this is what it's having to come to get it to where there's accountability across the board. We answer to the citizens of this county. We are elected by the citizens of this county. We turn around and we appoint board members from 3 names that they give us. And we have to appoint by law, according to Healthcare Authority Act, by law, those 3 members, one of those 3 members. The only way that this can change, and there'll be checks and balances across the board for everybody, because I know that I am on a commission that is competent enough to make good decisions and to hold Ricky Herring accountable with any bad appointment I'm going to make. I know that we can do that. There's been issues probably in the past with some other board, wherever in Alabama, wherever it came from, and I look back all the way to back to the early 1990s, there's been issues with this since this amendment happened. And Chairman Culver, even in some minutes back in the early 1990s, you made the comment that there needs to be more input from the commission on those appointments. Commissioner Harvey, in 2005, you had an issue with it in 2005, and there were some things that were said in there that you was not talked with about the appointments the way it was supposed to be. And then you and Ms. Frances Cook also had some things to say about it, that there needs to be more input. I'm in the same situation, Commissioner Harvey, you was in. I was not talked to, this process was not followed through fully. This is a very important appointment. We've already talked about this is the biggest appointment, most important appointment as a county commissioner you can make. We're talking about a $500 million health care authority over here that is operating right now. I'm looking to do the best thing. The gentleman I'm trying to appoint has a financial background. He graduated in Auburn in 1988. He is well known. He's done great things, and he's willing to serve and he wants to serve. All I'm asking is for the board to put my name on there so I can make my appointment. But they're not wanting to go back and do that. They could change that. And even September 28th, they chose not to change that when they know what I wanted to do. So I tell y'all these things that I believe at this point that the people of this county pay taxes to that hospital. Our taxpayer money built that hospital from 1957 on. I know it's minute right now, as some board members has told me, that little bit of money we get's nothing. But that started that hospital many years ago, and it still goes to them now. So, as we keep moving forward, that hospital, the citizens of this county have a right to say something. And I look forward to Monday, hopefully, that my fellow commissioners will think about the citizens of this county and allow them to vote and have a say finally in who it is that's appointed to that board. Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you for those comments. Any other comments from the commission?
Yes, brief. Thank you, Commissioner Herring, for laying out the chain of events that's kind of led to this in the past. I think, I don't know, I know Commissioner Harvey and I met with him last week, and we had, last 20 minutes of that meeting I felt was real constructive. I have hoped, since then that we would be able to find some sort of resolution. It has not happened yet. I just feel like there needs to be some resolution, one way or the other, and, maybe, I just feel like it needs to go on the agenda. Let's move forward with it, and if there's a resolution, we can always rescind it. If there's a resolution, even after we vote on it on Monday, the local delegation cannot put it forward to the state legislature. So there's still some off ramps, if we decide we don't want to do this, or if they decide that they don't want to move forward with this and they want to offer up a solution. But for now, I guess where I am right now, I just feel like we need to keep moving forward and hope for a resolution. But until then, we just need to keep moving forward.
Say one more thing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I know you ain't liking me talking about it, but it's okay. It's my time. So, anyway, I do wanna say this and correct something I think that was in the news, and that was in the paper. But I'd like to correct something that was said, so everybody, understand, and Press, you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're our counselor, but, local constitutional amendment has to be voted on by the people of this county, of Houston County. Okay, so when it comes to, you will have the opportunity to vote, if it comes to that, you'll have the opportunity to vote and decide on who has the appointment and how the appointment process works. You will have that opportunity. We have a delegation that is on board with moving this forward. I have spoke to several of them, more than half of them, as a matter of fact, 4 of them, and I know that they're on board with what is going on. I know our delegation is also, I respect them, they're smart enough to look at this, and before it goes on the bill, to look at the best way possible it can be put to protect the interest of Southeast Health, as well as this county commissioner and this hospital. So I would just like to share that and let you know that it will have to come to a vote. That's the only way to change that law is by a local constitutional amendment. It cannot be changed just by the delegation or the commission or anyone else. It has to go to a vote before the people, before that can be changed.
And the local delegation is the only only entity that can move that forward. We can't move that forward.
That's correct.
That is the only entity that can move that forward.
That's correct.
Any other comments from the commission? All right, would you like to make a brief comment?
I know you won't forget about it, Mr. Chairman.
Local legislation, but we can only, as commissioners representing taxpayers' money, we can only convey our concerns. We can't prove anything.
That would be correct.
So, I mean, I'm trying to figure out why is it even on the agenda?
Well, I guess the reason it says that way is to approve the draft legislation to move forward, I guess is the reason it's stated that way. All right,
But even that, I mean,
The delegation can do what they wanna do.
I don't see why.
The delegation can absolutely do this without us. Now, frankly, I would hope they wouldn't, because this is our appointments and the medical center's appointments that as we have discussed in the past ad nauseum, the Alabama Legislative Delegation can do what they want, and your statement about all of them being on board, I don't believe is correct, but.
I didn't say I said some of them.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay, I
there's
thought you
4
said
of
all
them. There's 4 of them.
All right, yes, sir, would you like to make a comment? I want to be sure we're not accusing the medical center or anybody else of any impropriety, fiscal or anything like that. We're strictly discussing a procedure that has gone awry and need to fix it.
Was
So-
Pearson mean?
No, I'm
Oh,
not
okay.
asking. Thank you.
I didn't mean to
Yes, sir.
imply that.
One other thing.
I know, that's why I was clarifying.
I promise I'm through after this. That was a phrase or a fragment that you used earlier, it says, I don't know who used it, they said that what the taxpayers give is peanuts. I gotta know, what was, I didn't get all of that.
I think that was one of the.
That was a comment I made,
Yeah.
and I will tell you that there was a board member that told me that, hey, y'all can have the money back, taxpayers can have it back.
And it's not necessarily about that.
Yeah.
And actually we can.
And
Right.
for everybody, every single person, whether they live in Houston County, whether they live in Georgia, whether in Florida, everyone that walks through that hospital, we are the people that's making that hospital there. We're making it stand. We make it survive. We pay those doctors. We pay those nurses, the custodian. We pay everybody. So every dollar that comes through Houston County, the city of Dothan, we make that hospital what it is, the people, and not we the people.
Right. And not only just Dothan and Houston County, but Florida, Georgia.
Everybody makes that happen.
50-mile radius.
Everybody.
All right, if there's no more discussion, I would ask, if there's any objection to putting this item on the agenda.
Yes, I have objection to it on this.
And I have an objection also, so it will not go on the agenda, but I do wanna say, there's a couple of reasons why I object. Your argument is right on. There is a process in place that for the most part has worked well over the years, for the most part. The problem here is the process was not followed, like you said. There was no meeting, there was no discussion, and if you mentioned my comments back when I was younger, about the process. That is the way the process is supposed to work. They're supposed to sit down with you, communicate, which is obviously part of the reason we're in this situation, is there hadn't been any communication, and arrive at a reasonable person to be nominated for this position to be appointed. Had that happened, perhaps y'all could have worked this out in that meeting, and we wouldn't have been spending all this time the last month going over this. That did not happen, and, you know, for that, they've now, the largest employer in Houston County has now been getting beat up in our commission meetings over the last several weeks, which I'm not proud of, honestly. But, you know, that was their issue. We need to work together with them. They are supposed to meet and discuss, and communicate, but I guess maybe I'm not a realist, but I still believe at some point we can work this out. The other issue I have, and this is a bigger issue, you know, I just am not comfortable with us putting our Houston County's appointments to the hospital in the Alabama Constitution. I mean, really, you know, if this was a local law or something, it'd be one thing, but we're gonna put whether or not we appoint commissioners in the Constitution of the state of Alabama. You know, that's the problem with our Constitution now. All of this kind of stuff has been put in there over the years, and that's why it fills up that book rack beside my desk up there. This is, to me, is just not a constitutional issue. This is a local issue that we all as grown adults should be able to sit down and figure out. And then the last thing, and the reason I do not want to move it forward with the majority is I am concerned about, I don't know how to say this without saying it, I'm concerned about people that are getting elected and what could happen. Yes, I know this commission would be very prudent in who was approved for this, but if Commissioner District 1 appointed somebody or wanted to appoint someone that the other three did not feel like was the right person, you'd be right back in this same argument talking about appointments to the medical center. This person would say, this is my appointment, not y'all's, and y'all would be having this same argument. So I think it needs to be the commission's appointment, but there needs to be, in my opinion, this is Mark's opinion, there needs to be some vetting. The process we have works if it is used and works and communication is done. That was not done in this case. It needs to be done, you know, it needs to be resolved, and we need to quit talking about it, and like Commissioner Shoup said, we need to move beyond this. So I don't think this is the correct way to do it, and so I would concur with these two gentlemen that we not move this forward to the agenda. So, and hopefully we won't talk about it again, and maybe we can get it resolved.
Maybe.
So, and as y'all said, our legislative delegation can and will do whatever they want, but I would hope they would consider this as a county commission appointment to the healthcare authority, and if neither of those two entities want this, I hope they would consider that and not do something, not so much over the objection, but not over the approval of those two entities, so. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I want to say one more thing.
All right, you may.
Yeah, thank you very
I got
much.
one more.
You got one more today. I'd like to say that, you know, I understand why y'all are objecting. That's understandable, because the delegation can move things forward, and there was a resolution that was approved the last time we was here, the resolution was approved. And it moved forward for us to be able to, have this conversation and move things forward to support the delegation and moving that forward. But, one thing that I am, really, concerned about, or not concerned, well, I guess you say concerned about, but is the fact that, you know, I don't wanna take it, and when it comes to making a big decision like this, a lot of times, is to take it out of people's hands. The people have a right to vote. And if it comes down to that, hopefully it don't have to come down to that if there's some resolution. But the people have a right to vote if it comes down. I'm your say, for my district, in District 3, I represent you. It's your say of what I do. Y'all control me, hold me accountable every 4 years, and sometimes even during those 4 years, I get held accountable a lot of time. So, but with the board, there's no accountability. We don't really have any say the way it's set up. It looks as a perception to the public as the commission makes this appointment. You know, and Mr. Trotter, back to your question a while ago, to who do you complain to? Who do you complain to? That's the way it's been for a long time. The commission makes that appointment. I don't complain to my commissioner. My commissioner can complain to that board member, and then that board member should be able to handle this thing. That's the way I think it should work. And I think that you should be able to do that. And the board, and I would tell you, you live in my district. On the board right now, you got Chester Sowell, which is the chairman. You have Taylor Knight, which is another board member. And you have Lance Shepard right now, who's not been reappointed or appointed. He's still on there because no appointment's been made. But those are my 3 appointments. You live in my district. Those are the ones you need to call and complain to about situations. Chairman Sowell with the board made a comment to me several months ago when I was asking some questions. He said, if you got anybody that has complaints about what's going on in the hospital, you tell them to call me. So there's your answer. So anyway, I say that to, you know, it's very important to me that y'all have say. The people of this county, citizens of this county that pay money, needs to have say. It doesn't have to come to this if the board will work with us and we can work together. But the board is choosing the direction of this constitutional amendment. The board is the one that is making this happen because it gets to the point that we have no say as commission. And if they want to, as they did, September 28th they met, they knew that I had another thing. They didn't want to change their mind. They wanted to keep it the way it was. The attorneys in that meeting I had on several occasions says, we've got a lot of stock in this board member. We want to keep this board member. We want this board member. Those attorneys work for Southeast Health.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Harvey, final thoughts?
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
As Brandon, Commissioner Shoup said, I think we had a great, meeting last Thursday. This hour and a half meeting, last 25, 30 minutes, I really thought we were moving forward with some great resolve. And, I think the process that is at hand, and I looked at and listened to Commissioner Herrick, and I listened to the bylaws, and I think if those standards were kept the way they should, I think it could be great. I think it needs to be more communication. But as for this right here, I don't even know why we even had the vote to move forward. I mean, because we can't approve legislation. I was even received an email yesterday letting us know kind of how minute we really are to a degree for when it comes to the county commission and the legislative delegation. Our local delegation, they really have more authority than we do pertaining to this whole matter. So we are really, when you say the county commission, we're picking board members, we're really not. What we're doing, we're picking our 3, and we're supposed to come together with the nominating committee and talk about which nominees should be vetted, which nominees should be in those particular positions. But at the end of the day, we really don't have that kind of authority.
All right, we will not move item number 8